Hey guys, if you're shopping for knives and gear, make sure you check out the description of the video you're watching right now for a link to my Amazon store where I've compiled some of the very best items available, including some of my own personal recommendations. Thanks! What's going on, YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I've got another interesting knife review / knife overview to share with you guys. This is the ADV Pathfinder, full-size Pathfinder. A lot of you guys probably remember I recently reviewed the mini Pathfinder. And truthfully, this review is basically going to be the same thing, just referring to a larger knife. So if you want to go see the full review on the mini Pathfinder and get my thoughts on the design and, you know, all the little details about this knife, you're welcome to go back and check out the mini Pathfinder review. This one is going to be a little bit shorter, more of an overview. This knife was, like the mini Pathfinder and some other ADVs, was sent to me by Women Carry Knives and a Therapeutic Edge right here on YouTube. It's like I said in the other video, if you've not checked out their channels, leave this video and go check out their channel. Subscribe to them. Absolutely fantastic content. They're a part of the Apex Pass Around group, which I'm also involved with, and they've just been wonderful to interact with. So thank you very much. Check out their channels. Let's go ahead and get a measurement on this guy. This is a big boy for sure. Overall length, the full-size Pathfinder, goodness, it's like 8.9 inches, almost 9 inches overall, almost exactly. Blade length is coming in at about 3.8 inches overall, and then your cutting edge is coming in at about 3.6 inches overall. Absolutely a big knife, both in terms of length and thickness. Let's go ahead and do some size comparisons. Excuse me. Up against the Ontario Rat Model 1, the Rat 1 is coming in at 8.6 inches overall, so you can see there how big this thing is. How about up against the Spyderco PM2? Spyderco PM2 is coming in at 8.3 inches overall. How about up against the Benchmade Griptilian, or in this case, the Ritter Hogue? Ritter Hogue is coming in at 8 inches overall. And last but not least, the Spyderco Para 3. Spyderco Para 3 is coming in at 7.25 inches overall. I suppose we should put it up against some other ADVs. For anybody who's specifically shopping for an ADV, please note that a lot of these models are going to be listed down in the description. I'll actually include a link for ADV knives in general through Blade HQ, so you guys can go check them out. How about up against the Butcher? Another very large, not quite as big knife. The Butcher coming in just a little tiny bit shorter. How about up against the Ronin Hybrid? Anybody familiar with this knife? Probably would be interested to see this review. This is this knife is just a tad longer. This is one of the biggest ADVs I've ever seen. Interesting. We'll be looking at that one here soon. And then, of course, let's go ahead and put it up against the mini Pathfinder for anybody trying to decide between the two, because there's reason enough for either of these. These are both pretty big knives. Even though this one's a mini, that's still a pretty... It's a medium-sized knife, but it still feels like a full-size knife. So there you go. All right, so how's the action on this guy? Well, if you watch the other review on the mini Pathfinder, you'll remember that I talked about the double adjustable pivot, meaning that the pivot can be adjusted from this side, but then on the inside of the other one, which you can actually see there's a little hex head on this one. It's different than the other one. On this one, it's the adjustment head is sort of sunk in there. This one, it sticks up, it looks like it sticks up a lot more than it does. It's really almost nothing. But you can stick the, what is it? It's a little hex head. Essentially, once you've got the blade centered by adjusting this head, you can turn it over and adjust this head, and you can get the action exactly the way that you want it. So, for example, as you can see here, this blade is perfectly centered. And then here is the action on this guy. Wonderful! That allows people to adjust these exactly the way that they want. So if you like that fall shut guillotine action and you're quick, you know, you're nimble, you can get your fingers out of the way of this monstrous guillotine of a blade, right? Then yeah, you can adjust it that way. If you want to play it safe, that's generally how I like to do it. You can crank down on that smaller screw a little bit and get it just a little bit tighter so that it's smooth and it's centered, but it's not going to come down on your fingers, right? That's cool. It caters to a wide variety of different people, and I think that that's absolutely wonderful. The blade is frictionless on the inside, so it's truly a luxurious action when you want it to be that way. Really, really nice and absolutely solid. Hardware check. Get out my handy dandy WIA magnetic driver and WIA bit selector, two items that are very inexpensive and very recommendable. You can find them down on the Amazon store that I reference at the beginning of every single video. just pull up in the store and look for knife maintenance. We did this on the other video. I'm guessing it is the same. Pivot is going to be a... Ooh, is it T20 on the big guy? Let's get out the T20. Beautiful hardware, so I don't want to push into this too hard. Yeah. Holy cow. So this one is a T20. Oh my goodness. I mean, the bigger the head, the better, honestly, because that's not going to strip. There's no way. It's just not gonna. I'm going to guess that the handle screws, though, are still T8, just like the Mini Pathfinder. Yeah, let's give that a shot here real quick. And again, very beautiful anodized hardware there. There we go. Yeah, T8. And then I'm going to guess, like the Mini Pathfinder, we've got probably T6 on the pocket clip screws. So I will go ahead and check. Nope. Pocket clip screws on this guy are actually T8. So that's pretty cool. How about the over travel stop screws? I bet those are T6. Yeah, those are T6. And then the filler tab screws, which we actually didn't check on the other one, those are actually also T8. So there you go. Mostly a combination of T20 and T8 on the parts that, you know, you might want to adjust more readily, or you might be adjusting more often, right? So that's great. I have no issues with that whatsoever. I almost didn't do the hardware check because I thought it's going to be exactly the same as the Mini Pathfinder, but it's not. And this one is from 2017 as well. So that is just the difference between the large and the small one from this generation. Okay, carry profile. So up against the Spyderco Para 3, I'm going to guess that this one is probably about the same thickness as the smaller one. Yeah, it's pretty thick, right? So up against the smaller Pathfinder, you can see that, yeah, they look to be about exactly the same thickness. In terms of height, you know, the Mini Pathfinder was still dimensionally, or I'm sorry, in terms of height and length, was not quite as big as either of these. Spyderco PM2 and Para 3, two knives that have awkward carry profiles that nobody ever complains about. But you can see there that this is both longer and in one place is actually taller than both the PM2 and Para 3. This is a big knife, guys. It's a really, really big knife. And it's also a heavy knife, especially this particular version is full tie and that flashlight, there we go. Full tie and no milling on the inside. And then the blade stock, I'm going to guess, is the same thickness as the Mini Pathfinder, which was about 155 thousandths. We'll go ahead and check that here real quick. Blade stock thickness coming in at, oh, is it thicker? Let's try that again. Wow, yeah, it actually is coming in thicker. This was saying 172 thousandths or 170. That's thick. That's even thicker than an XM18. It's in between a Hinder XM18 3.5 inch standard thickness and an XM24 is what that is. It's an odd thickness. I've never seen the calipers hit 170 thousandths. It's usually 165 or 187 or, you know, like 190 something. But so there you go. There's the thickness on it. So we've got tall, we've got long, we've got pretty thick, big blade. I mean, yeah, this is a recipe for a pretty heavy weight coming in at kind of an unsurprising 7.27 ounces. It's not quite as heavy as my Hinder XM18. This is still heavy though. This is bigger and heavier than what I normally carry, despite being somebody who likes a bigger, heavier knife. A lot of people really like big, heavy knives, right? There's a lot of people out there who carry knives that are over 10 ounces. For the majority of people, I'm going to say that this is probably going to be too big and too heavy. You know, people who were like, I like to wear athletic shorts every single day and I carry a mini bug out. Yeah, too heavy for you. For people who work outside and wear jeans and are probably carrying a whole bunch of other tools that weigh substantially more than this, you're probably not going to notice as much. In fact, especially if you carry only one thing in your knife pocket, and that is your knife, then yeah, you probably won't care too much, right? If you're somewhere in between, and probably most people fall somewhere in between those two different types of people I just described, use your best judgment. This is a big knife, for sure. All right, so anyways, you know, I talked about the Mini Pathfinder, and spoiler alert, guys, the design is really, really good. And ADV makes great knives. The tolerances are great. right? There's really not a lot to complain about, you know, for what it is that you're getting here is absolutely made on purpose. The fit and finish overall is excellent. The lockup is excellent. There's no, you know, it's totally solid. There's no blade play up, down, left, or right. The action is good, right? All the way around, things are knocked down. There's not really too many sharp edges. Maybe the back of this pocket clip a little bit. It's a slightly different pocket clip, and this one's going to carry a little bit deeper. I'm sorry, a little bit more shallow than the mini Pathfinder. It's not really that big of a deal though, considering how much knife and how big, you know, how much of the knife is holding itself in your pocket, right? The blade looks excellent. In this case, we have a very high satin belt finish. Edges up here, a little teeny tiny bit sharp, but it's not like friction-y sharp, right? And that's probably just a product of the satin finish. Not that big of a deal. Jimping back here is great. Ergonomics on this guy are excellent because there's so much more room for your hands. You hold this guy and you feel ready to go. This feels very powerful, right? Despite it being thick up here, it actually gets down reasonably. You know, I called the other one fairly thick behind the edges. Kind of right in between. It's not really thick, but it's not thin. It's definitely going to cut. It's definitely going to slice. It's going to do a lot of stuff that, you know, the blade, well, I don't want to suggest people do anything with their folding knives they shouldn't be doing, but this is a very robust blade. It is a very capable blade in a situation where you might not have another choice. How about let's say it like that, right? Lots of thickness down to the tip. Absolutely beautiful. The fuller looks great. Everything on this blade looks great. There's no printing on it, but judging by everything that I've seen from other ADVs, this is S35EN, which I think is a great choice. Everything on this knife, fit and finish all the way around. That's what I meant is this is going to be a shorter review because I've already reviewed this exact knife in just a smaller form. And what I'm seeing here is pretty much exactly the same thing. Everything's great. You can mount the pocket clip for tip down if you want. I don't know why you do that on a flipper, but you know, some people do, so that's fine. Really, the major differences between this one and the mini Pathfinder are, of course, the size. The pocket clip style, which is a little bit different on the mini here, you can see, and exactly how deep it carries. That and obviously the aesthetics. This one is a little bit more dressy. We have this sort of like kind of polished black DLC, and then we've also got iridescent anodized purple hardware that looks really, really good. Especially the backspacer is awesome. Sort of bronzish purple. Really, really cool. Extends to the over travel stop screws or the lock bar insert screws and the screws on the filler tab. Really, really nice. It's just a great example of some of the interesting aesthetic options that you can get with ADV knives. I also love this is my favorite texture pattern. I mean, surprise, I like textured titanium. This frag texture pattern is just awesome. And it's smooth, but it also creates good traction. This is not an uncomfortable knife to hold. In fact, the pocket clip is less of an issue on this one than it is on the smaller one for whatever reason. It's a little bit pointy right here. It's no big deal. You're really only going to notice it if you're going to be using this knife for long periods of time without gloves. If you're going to keep it in your pocket, you're going to get it out to make simple cuts 2, 3, 4, 5 times a day, right? You're not going to notice it. And if you're wearing gloves, you're definitely not going to notice it. Oh man, I cannot tell you guys how, I mean, like these lines, it's not an uncommon handle shape, but man, talk about just melting into a knife. This feels good. Jimping's in the right place. This feels capable. I would absolutely feel ready to go with this knife. I'm a big fan of ADV knives. I really am. I love their aggressive look. I love the build quality. I like that they almost look like they're going to be clunky and you know, hard to manipulate, but truthfully, all the little tiny things with knives like with these knives have been thought out, right? So it's built to last, and it feels good. It's nice in the hand. It's easy to manipulate, and you can do the reverse flick because of the fuller on this guy, much like the mini Pathfinder. So that's cool. It's more comfortable to use the flipper tab. Absolutely. I love all the different options that you can get. I love the look, and you know, if this one's not doing it for you, you know, trust me when I say that there is an ADV knife out there with the colors that, you know, would appeal to you. Combinations of different colors, you know, different finishes on the blade, different blade styles, right? This handle shape, I'm sure you guys noticed, is essentially the same handle shape as on the Butcher. And that is definitely on purpose. I mean, it's a little bit shorter, but They use kind of the same handle shape, and then they, it's a different blade shape and different overall size. But there's the chevron pattern. They do the hole pattern, which is on the mini here. We'll try and squeeze that one into the shot. But there's just a lot of different things that you can get with ADV knives, and it's just, they're great. I mean, there's these are like 2 of like 10 different blade shapes, I think, that I'm aware of, with a similar style of handle, right? A similar shape of handle, similar look. Check them out. Check out the link that I've got for ADV knives at Blade HQ, because they're really, really, really cool. So this one, so if you guys remember the mini Pathfinder, I said came in or started out at about $390. This is obviously a dressed up one, but a basic version of this, meaning tumbled titanium and a tumbled blade or a bead blast blade, right, comes in at just $10 more than the base price of the mini, so $400. This one, this looks like a $500 to $550 bill to me, but a basic version of this, same size, same blade steel, just not nearly as dressy, is going to come in at a completely reasonable $400 for full titanium, made in the USA, likely hand-checked, hand-tuned, hand-assembled. On top of that, the overall look, the overall appearance, the overall attention to detail. I mean, there's so much here. ADV knives have always been a good deal. They were a great deal back in 2014, and they're still a great deal, right? If you're going to compare it with a Wii knife, a Chinese knife that costs $260, nothing against Wii knives, I like them, but yeah, if you're going to say, well, I can get the same materials for less, I know, people say that every single time in my video. It costs less to make a knife in China, right? It costs less to take those materials and turn them into a knife, especially if there's extra human time and attention to detail that goes into it. So can I see $400 here? Yes. Does everybody need to graduate to a part of the knife enthusiast thing to where they, nobody really needs a $400 knife is what I'm saying. Right? You don't have to do this. Excellence and quality can be had for much less. However, if you do want to spend around $400 on a knife, are you getting your money's worth with a knife like this? Yes, absolutely. And for the same reason that I put the mini Pathfinder on my most recommended knives playlist, I'm going to put the full-size Pathfinder on there because I think this knife is excellent. Again, Women Carry Knives in a Therapeutic Edge, thank you so much for sending this. This is beautiful. Really, really cool. I love this knife. I love ADV knives. Really cool. Check out their channel. Don't forget to do that. This is going to be pretty much it for the review today, guys. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on this Metal Complex logo right here and subscribe, because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.